Hi everyone, welcome to the channel for new battle report. So it's been a while. The reason for that is I haven't been playing much 9th Age since my last event. To be honest, I haven't felt so motivated having a look at what's current meta. I'm been a bit frustrated by some of the rule, but I'm hoping that the major point of frustration for me are going to be fixed. I think my expectation would be that some of the aspects in the current rules would be reverted towards something more like version 2.0. That would be my hope, but we will see. I try to keep the optimism and basically looking forward to the update that's coming up towards the end of December. I think it's for the core rules. So I'm expecting stuff like panic check for single model to go away. I think also all the movement rule for single model, I think are a bit, they feel a bit strange. You will see also in this battle report. I'm not feeling so, I don't feel so enjoyable to move single model as it was before. Obviously the amount of lateral and backwards movement might have been too much, but I think there are some other possibilities to reduce that by basically reducing just march rate would be an option to basically reduce that ability for single model to move as much as 14 for rock backwards or sideways. So I think there are multiple ways to move that, but I think at the moment we just went in version 2.0 from like March 14 laterally, and now you can just do like 3.5. So it's a huge change, and I think it also has something to do with the fact that at the moment single model are not so good in the meta. Also that combined with the power level of artillery at the moment, and also the fact that just big unit have this +1 to wound is also another thing that is annoying for single model. Anyway, that's enough for my complaints, so to say. I try to be constructive. I'm more trying to mention that in a way that if anybody involved with the design is watching the video, maybe they might add that to the list, or they might have an eye on that point. But that's just my personal opinion on what I find a bit frustrating, or I would say, better in version 2.0 as it is with version 3.0. So I'm really I have big hopes for this update, because there are tournaments starting next year, and I hope we have an enjoyable version. I also hope we get rid of those lists with all the spam of unit without general BSB sometimes, no magic, and just spamming the unit to fill the battlefield. I think that's not the way 9th Age is supposed to be enjoyable for everybody. So I hope we get a bit more diversity and we are able to balance again between the strengths of unit, single model, and all of that to get again more balanced list that makes battle enjoyable, and I think that should be the main purpose. Anyway, that being said, I also would like to thank all the people involved with the project. I think they are doing a huge job and a good job, so thanks them for trying to make the game better. I think not everything is perfect, but that's my opinion, can easily be improved. That's the main strength of the 9th Age. It's so agile that it can be easily changed if most of the people don't like it. So we will see how that goes. Basically, this game was like me not playing for 2 months, which is the biggest break that I had since the 9th Age exists. So definitely not very motivated by the game. But I was trying to feel in love again with the 9th Age by playing an Ogre on an actual table, so on the table, to really feel again the love of the miniatures and so on. So trying to basically have an enjoyable game, have some fun with my usual gaming partner Leishmeister, who was playing Beastod. My lists, I have to say, I struggle a bit to build a good list for Ogre Khan that is balanced. I think you have decent option with Wild Herd, because Wild Herd give you leadership 9, and you have ability to make combat oriented lists that are, I think, decent due to the fact that you can create a threat and have at the same time an additional threat in the list with Mammoth Hunter, and at the same time take advantage from leadership 9. So I think Wild Herd can be decent with Ogre Khan. The classic list, to be honest, I had some hope with God Speaker, but I think basically if you play God Speaker without a Great Khan, you are stuck to leadership 8, which could be fine for a big Death Star with a God Speaker, Mimic Cloak, because this unit would be strong enough to stay on the battlefield due to unstable, but the problem would be all the unit around would be checking on 8 rollable, which is not really, how should I say, I wouldn't accept that as a risk in my list, to be honest. Or you need to go really heavy MSU, but even that, you will have some shaky leadership check, and I think I don't like that enough. So that's the reason why I went for Great Khan in the list, and that leads towards Death Star. I think that's one of the viable choice in the book, but the only downside of that is that you have almost like 2,000 points in a single unit, which is a problem. So you have a very strong Death Star, but it's occupying so much from the list. I think the Great Khan is even a bigger handicap, so to say, than before, due to the fact that we play 4K. Basically, he's taking a lot of points, and just for leadership 9, some additional strengths, but he will be in a unit, and most likely you will try to have your character together, which is obviously a bit of a problem to have 2,000 points in a unit, because you get odd numbers in terms of units. But we'll see how that goes. I try to go with this magical setup that provides me the double -1 to wound, and then some blast. Obviously the Ginget on the can to make the Death Star unit strong, and then we have some darts to have some chaff, anti-chaff scoring, a big unit of Tusker Cav. Then I have a Thunder Cannon, 2 Keen Eaters that can be chaff or also ambush, and a Rock to add some combat power. So I have 3 main combat power unit, which is Rock, Death Star, and the Tusker Cav, and the rest basically playing around that. My opponent was playing an interesting list. He has basically 2 like teams of ambushers that can benefit from the Beast Chieftain that is quite cheap at the moment, and basically he gets the 9 rollable when he ambush, which was one of the weakness of those ambushing unit, was the leadership, so they can definitely take advantage from that Chieftain. He's playing then a block of 40 Mongrel. He has then a big unit of Minotaur, big unit of Longhorn. Within them is going to be a Chieftain and a Lord, and also the Sooth Slayer to basically get the Stubborn Bodyguard rule. Another unit of 10 Centaurs, 5 Gargoyle, and Briar Beast. We were playing secure target, so that's basically the 2 point that you need to control in the map between the turn 3 and 6. I had Enslave and Ransom, and he had Capture the Flag, I think it's called. Basically, you need to have more flags, more standard on the battlefield towards the end of the game than me. And he's like starting with 7, and I have like 4 or 5 standard. So he's basically starting with a win. Just need to maintain that. So we are starting the game at 11-9, which I find always a bit odd with those secondary objectives, a bit frustrating that sometimes you just feel like, you're really starting uphill. You have an uphill battle. It's not going, you're starting the game at 9-11 basically, and you need to fight for it. Enslave and Ransom on my side is not that easy to do. I need basically to break a unit and catch it and destroy it during the pursue move. So if you destroy everybody in close combat, that doesn't count. You need really to catch the unit, which is obviously not so easy to achieve. You need to do that with 2 units. I don't like that secondary objective, to be honest. I think it's quite hard to achieve. Below you have the spell selection for both players. A matchup analysis, he has a pure combat army. I felt heavily outnumbered. I think I have a strong Death Star that can win the 1-1 battle, but then he has so many units and so many bodies on the battlefield in comparison to myself. It's going to be complicated. Obviously, I need the Death Star to shine. The magical setup, try to compensate the +1 to wound. Basically, his unit have more ranks than my unit, so basically in every combat I'm expecting that he gets the +1 to wound, which is obviously an issue because Ogre Khan are playing on resilience, and even before you start combat you need to be able to think that you're trying to get those -1 to wound to compensate that. So definitely not so easy for Ogre Khan. You have a good example in this matchup. Primary, secondary, he has a clear advantage. I mean, he has so many units, he will have control of the board. I think on the primary he has a big advantage, and secondary, like I said, he's starting with a win. So not that great for matchup estimation, obviously negative. Deployment, so I won the roll for side, I gave him top with Impassable. To be honest, if I'm not mistaken, I think if you won the roll, the first roll, you can also elect that your opponent choose the side, and then you can drop a first turn. I had that in mind, but I felt since he's going to ambush, it's maybe better to not start the game, because that could allow me to have to wait not so long for blocking the ambush. So basically that was the idea behind that. He dropped the Longhorn within a forest. They are scout due to the special item. Then we have the Mino, we have the Spear guy, the Centaurs on the far right, and the Gargoyle in the front, and the 2 units in ambush, plus also the Briar Beast. On my side, yeah, basically I block all the ambushing possibilities in the back. I put the cannon in the left that's going to combine with the King Eater. Then we have Tusker Cav, the Death Star. We have some darts in the back, King Eater in the middle, and the Rock is trying to close a bit the battlefield to make the Centaur not so easy to push me. And basically the ambushing spot that he could have would be those spots. So that's the spot that I cannot go out. It's really hard to cover all ground. As you can see, I'm going with heavily to the left, so I need to play quite compact due to the ambush and his number of units. The downside of that is I cannot really play for that one. I didn't find a way. I cannot really deploy in the center and get ambush in both flank. I need to put myself in a corner. That's something you have to do usually when you are outnumbered. So yeah, it's not looking great for secondary. I also debated whether or not I could have deployed on the right, but I felt that the ruin is a huge issue since I didn't have the point to pay Stalker standard for the Tusker. They are quite sensitive to the train, and I felt yeah, it's going to be hard to move around that, so I didn't like that much. And I felt since he deployed center right, I might have some room for here to push and try to get control of this one and basically push him back to try to draw at least the secondary. So that was my initial goal. That's after Vanguard, that's his turn 1, so he basically pushed forward with everything. He got +2 on the charge on the Longhorn with the totem. Then he got +1 strength. He also got a Briar Beast that popped. It popped right here, so I have 2 charge options. We will see what I do. It's very dangerous to charge Briar Beast because basically if I get stuck, he can then take advantage from that to potentially take other charge and then get overrun and stuff. So not so easy. I tried to dispel the +1 strength on the Briar Beast because I felt that's the only way I could double charge it and be sure that I can kill it. But with 5 dice against his 3 dice, I wasn't able to dispel it. And then he also got a fly move on 2 dice against 2, I think on the Centaurs. So he got 3 spell in despite my dice attempt, so not so fun for me. My turn 1. I elected not to charge Briar Beast because with +1 strength, it's not an easy combat, and then he could get some, like I said, some charge and overrun and stuff. I didn't like that much the fact of being stuck here in the front of him. So I just moved back. Yeah, like I mentioned, I'm not able to get into the position I want with Rock due to the fact that I can only move 3.5, cannot move 14 or stuff like that. So in version 2.0, I would have been able to get a position like maybe like here and then covering everything. But here, due to the fact that I want to keep the Briar Beast in the front and also covering those guys, I cannot move that much in the back, so not great. Death Star push forward, Tusker push forward, and the rest push forward, but I still keep the zone where I cannot ambush me, so he has 2 spots. Can ambush here in the back because here the Tusker covered that angle, so he cannot fit. And then here on the right. In the magic phase, I failed the D6 strength 5. He dispels the Pyro Flow, and I get the Fireball, did 1 wound on the Briar Beast, so not crazy. Crossbow kills 2 Longhorn, and the cannon did 4 wounds to the Minos. His turn 2, he makes both ambush, and then basically just push me. So those guys push me, those guys ambush to the side, and basically my Rock is trapped. Again, version 2.0, you can move to the sides, you can escape from that situation. Here I just feel like I'm a single model, but I'm still stuck, and basically I'm trapped. So I have no other issue than charging. Because if I move in the back, I get double charge. There is nothing I can really do except charging. So yeah, it feel really, it's really annoying basically. He makes the charge on 11 with the Briar Beast onto the bruises, and yeah, he's able to push me and just wait for me to charge and kill myself into his unit. So quite frustrating, but nothing I can really do here. And he pushed toward me. Magic phase. I dispelled distracting, he failed the +1 strength, and at least he got frenzy, so savage fury on the mongrel. And yeah, charging the mongrel doesn't feel so sexy because they have so many attack, +1 to wound, frenzy, reroll to hit. So that's quite dangerous. Close combat, we draw 2-2. I have a counter charge from the tribesman, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I counter charge from the tribesman here. Charge with the rock because I'm trapped. I get into a sweet spot with those guys, and here I push the Death Star forward to tell him, you won't charge me because you're not going to win that combat. And I want to have a look at the minors as well. I want to have a look here. So I get the Death Star into play. I also push the Tusker forward, and here I push 2 units to basically block him. If he push, he gets double charge. Here on the left, I activate all my units because there are no ambush anymore. In the magic phase, he dispels hereditary on the rock, but I get the -1 to wound from Thaumaturgy. So -1 to wound on the little guy, but still close combat. I will kill 10 between impact, stomp, attacks, and he will manage with, I think, 7 times 3, 21 attack on, I would say 4+, rerollable battle focus, and then 6+, and he managed to do 6 wounds. So my rock is almost dead, and just did 10 casualties, and now he's just going to charge me. So I reform for him to charge me in the flank to have no good of run. He stays where he is. He didn't chaff me, which surprised me. So we have plenty of options with the Death Star. I think he was really focused on that right combat and getting one combat after the other. In the magic phase, he gets, I think, distracting on the big unit on the right. I was more concerned about the buff that he could cast potentially on the long gun, so quite happy with that. He obviously kills the poor rock. That really doesn't feel like a single model, the way it was stuck here and just charged and died. So yeah, it's very frustrating to pay almost 500 for a model that get killed by small infantry just pushing in front of him and having no respect for him. But that's like I said in the beginning, it's just a bit frustrating the way it moves. I felt really I was stuck. There was nothing I could really do to avoid that combat, that situation from happening. Couldn't really move in the back, couldn't escape from that situation. I was just stuck, and I needed something to block the right flank, so I didn't see any other option. Okay, so the game is not going good, but I see good opportunities. Basically, I'm able to charge Death Star into the long gun and to chaff every possible counter charge. So basically, my plan is pretty easy. The game is not looking good, so I felt if I get rid of his Death Star in 2 rounds of combat, because his bodyguards, I'm not expecting to break him straight. If I do, it's great. If I don't, it's not the end of the world, because I can potentially break him on the next round. I think that's what I was counting on. So basically get rid of his Death Star, get a lot of points, general and so on. I was feeling that could be nice. I also attempted a charge on a 6 Swift from the Tusker into the Minor. I think that's a game-changing potentially charge, because 5 Tuskers against his Minors would be an easy combat. And then if I get those 2 units in combat, I mean, yeah, I think it's done. I think it's more or less done. At least I would be here on this spot, so at least I can win or at least draw, and then it's my Death Star looking at his other unit, and I think that's the game here. But I failed that charge, so we'll see how the Death Star did. I was able to chaff everything. Magic phase, he binding shoulder -1 to wound. I get just the 2d6 from Thaumaturgy, but then I realized that basically I tried to do -1 to wound on the Tusker, because in the main combat, since he has more rank than me, he has +1 to wound, so advantage position I think it's called, but he has strength 5, so basically no matter what I cast on my unit, he still will be wounding me on 3+, so that does nothing actually. Basically my magical boost setup wasn't effective in this combat due to the fact that he has strength 5. So yeah, I'm still being wounding on 3+, and there is no buff I can cast in this combat except the 2d6 strength 2 AP0, which is not that great obviously, but I managed to kill at least 1 long gun. Close combat is going to be exciting. I killed 25 long gun. I have the Gimgit banner, lot of result, and I just miss breaking his bodyguard by 1 model. Has exactly 5 models staying, which is potentially the worst outcome, because next round I don't have that many long gun to kill, so it's not going to be that easy to win the combat by a lot. His ticks on the 9 rollable. So yeah, I was regretting the fact that I didn't find a point to pay for Rampager Train here on the BSB, which would have been enough to break him. Obviously, if I break him right now, that's a pursue into the Gargoyle. Yeah, it's Enslave and Ransom 1 point. I mean, it's huge moment. But my plan was to break him next round, so we'll see how that goes. His turn 4, he charged all my chaff with all his unit. He has no overrun. He chaff with the Gargoyle, but not that great because I can charge and get an overrun into the Mino, so feels good. Here charge my Keen Eater, but I have the counter charge from the Chariot, so that should be okay. In the magic phase, and you kill here you see here how many Longhorn I was able to kill. So yeah, the Death Star is a Death Star. I mean, it's called Death Star for a reason. 2000 point. It's breaking a lot of high strength attacks, high quality attack. I was just missing some fine tuning to get the additional model that I was missing, but still a good feeling when you kill so many Longhorn. Magic phase, he failed the +1 strength, he got distracting on his Death Star, and then what happened? I stick here with the Keen Eater, he killed the Keen Eater with the minus, he break those guys, and I think they just flee or he kill me. He breaks me and reform. That's about it. And here in the key combat, basically was losing by 5. It's a 4 rollable. I think I killed some character with the Great Khan. Winning by 5, so 4 rollable and he sticks, which is obviously for me very bad news. That's how it is. Sorry, so that's my turn 4. Yeah, he's able to, because it's his turn, he reforms, and then on my 5 he will be able to charge me, obviously, which is a big problem. So on my 4, I've just reformed 3 wide to basically get more combat result and this time break him. I charge with the Tuskers, but due to the water to get the overrun here, I think I couldn't be 1 model to the south, but I lose 4 wounds on those Tuskers with DT. DT is just brutal on the Tuskers on size high 4 units. I think, yeah, you have to have the Stalker standard. Without that, I think it's unplayable. Here I charge with the Chariot, expecting to do something great. And yeah, basically my intention would be the Tuskers into the minus, with some buff, winning that combat, reforming the Death Star, looking this direction. And then, yeah, the bad news for me is he has 1 point on the secondary, so I'm already losing. Hoping to break those guys thanks to the Chariot charging, has some impact and stuff. And maybe I can then face 3 units with the Death Star, so that could be doable, I think. Magic phase, I get Hereditary on the Death Star. I think the right call would have been to cast it on the Tusker, to be honest. I failed the 2d6 strength 2, and this time he sticks on a -4, so it's a 5 rollable, which is not great because it's going to charge me in the flank. The Tuskers make the overrun, and I think on the left he makes some good result this time. He kills the Keen Eater and we stuck. But yeah, I think it's the end because the Death Star gets killed by so many attacks in the flank. I cannot reform to the front due to the character being in base contact. That would be illegal reformation. So huge issue. I think worth mentioning that in this combat only, yeah, I lost another model due to the DT, so that's great. And I was still able to draw against 7 minus, so definitely if I would have made the charge with the 5 model early on, I would have get that unit without problem. And here I think that combat was a bit dicey, so yeah, that can happen. And here I just get, yeah, it's the end. I mean, it has so many attacks to my flank, it's the end of the game. So yeah, bit frustrating game for me to get so crushed. Post-game analysis. So I felt outnumbered, obviously, had an advantage on the primary secondary, like we saw. I mean, it's like starting the game at 14, more or less. So definitely a complicated game for me. I felt my only path to victory was linked to the Death Star, crushing his Death Star. Obviously, I think huge mistake on the Beasted part. He should have chaffed my Death Star with his Gargoyle on turn 3, and I think he's all fine after that. So I think that would have been the right choice to just chaff the Death Star and not risk that dicey combat. Tusker with Mino, yeah, felt a good combat, but DT cost me too much. I think Stalker Standard is a must-have on Tusker because you get DTs from lake, ruin, and forest, which there are a lot on all the maps, so definitely needed. My magical setup wasn't good. I think the list is not that great, to be honest. Range damage, I didn't have the time to do much, to be honest. And obviously it's always going to be a problem to have 2000 points in a unit, because apart from that you don't have that much on the table. And I felt overall a bit downhill battle, because every combat that I had, my opponent had the +1 to wound. Even the minors against the Tusker, they had the rank, so +1 to wound. The ambushes, +1 to wound. The mongrel, the longhorn. Every combat, it feels like handicap, really. I mean, every combat you're just facing +1 to wound, so I think that's not a good news for Ogre Khan at the moment. They are not in a good state. I would expect them to be quite low tier at the moment. So yeah, we will see how the rules evolve in the future. But Ogre Khan wasn't a book that was so well placed during the end of version 2.0, and I didn't think it improved during version 2.0. I had some hopes due to the fact that we lost the line formation. I felt maybe it's changed. It's a good chance for army book like Ogre Khan that have a lot of monstrous infantry. But this +1 to wound, yeah, it's complicated, because the main strength of Ogre Khan is the high resilience, but that just get destroyed by the +1 to wound that you have in most of the combat. Guys, thanks a lot for the battle. I think it was interesting for me to try out again. To play Ogre Khan was a fun moment. We had some funny moment. Obviously, the game could have gone differently if my opponent felt the checks or wasn't steadfast the first time. All that little things would have made the game closer, but I'm not sure I would have won it. Even if I crush his Death Star on the second turn like I expected, I wasn't sure to be winning it, because he had uphill on the primary, secondary, so yeah, it was very, very complicated. But anyway, I hope you had fun watching the battle report, and I will talk to you soon. As soon as I play another battle, I would expect to play some towards the end of the year when the new version comes out. Thanks a lot for watching, talk to you soon on the channel, goodbye.